Hello and welcome back to Clownfish TV. It is me, Geeky Sparkles. And again, it's only me today because Neon still can't talk. Now he is better, so I expect him to be back in a couple days. But he's still having issues. He sounds just like a frog now, not a frog gargling glass. So it's improving. But today we're going to talk about animation because it's come to our attention that there are these animators and these people working in the animation industry having major meltdowns. They're so salty about stuff we said. Meanwhile, there are people that are industry veterans who have come out and said, no, we're right. And of course, they all dogpiled those people immediately because, how dare you, don't encourage them. But if we're right, we're right. And I'm sorry, there's a difference between grifting and being negative and lying and then telling the truth, but it's not what you want to hear. Okay? And you should see the stuff that's been, leveled at us over these comments. I'm not going to point out the videos or anything because, one, I don't want to give them oxygen. Two, they're so off base, it's ridiculous. And I don't want people going after them because one of the accusations has been that we send people after them, which we have not done. We tell you don't bother people. Don't harass people. If I point out your tweet or something, if you're posting on X and you say something stupid or that's completely misrepresenting what we said and I call you out, it's because you're being a dumbass and I saw it. I'm calling you out. That does not mean I'm telling people to go after you, but I am going to call you out if you're saying stuff that isn't true and you're being a dumbass. And some of the things that we've been accused of have been hilarious. Let me think. Somehow we're being paid by the studios. Okay. So the same people who are mad at us for not liking Star Wars or whatever and say we're anti-Lucasfilm, anti-Disney, we want Disney to fail, we want it to burn, we hate Hollywood, we're anti-studio, anti-everything, are the same people saying that we're being paid off by the studios to ruin the unions. Okay, I'm not kidding. This is what their logic is. We saw that one. Another one is that we're old and we don't know what's going on and we're just making stuff up, but we don't know how animation actually works. That was funny, even though veterans have said, no, you're actually pretty right about a lot of this stuff. We've had, let me think what else is on there. Oh, we're anti-union. Not true. If you've watched our videos, you know that like when the VFX workers unionized, I said, many times, this is a clear case of a union being necessary because they're being overworked. We've covered animators being forced to do crunch time and being forced to work ridiculous hours at places like Rooster Teeth and stuff. We've covered that before and defended the animators because it wasn't fair. Basically, we look at the situation and we try to start to determine what is being done that's fair, what is being done that's not fair. It's nothing against certain groups specifically, even though they think it is. Because basically, if it's not what they want to hear, it's just lies and negativity when that's not necessarily the case. I saw that one. Oh, there's just been a whole bunch of different things leveled at us, and they're hilarious. Back to the union thing, I think this is coming from, which I'm going to talk about here in a minute, from what Neon posted. It's coming from this thing that last year we had the Writers Guild on strike, and we had the Screen Actors Guild on strike. And if you watched our videos, then you know what we said. We agreed with most of what the Writers Guild was asking for. However, we said they were overreaching on the minimum writer's room and some of the other things. They were demanding, guaranteed work. And we're like, that's not going to happen. And we also said that what is going to happen is more people are going to get what they want. They're going to reach an agreement. However, studios are going to cut projects and whoever's left is going to get a good deal, but they're going to weed out a lot of people. And that is exactly what happened. And we just talked to you we're looking at this from the outside and we're like, from our experience working in and around the industry, here's what we think is going to happen. And that's usually what happens. It's not nefarious. It's not, we want to see people fail. Even though a lot of you entitled little whiny bitches, I'm not going to cry too much if you lose your jobs because you're being a bunch of assholes. I actually am trying to help you. But you're too busy screaming at us and being mad, triggered, constant about every little thing. I'm an animator and I do mental health videos. Well, you're gonna need more mental health videos because your animation career is probably not gonna last but much longer. And you're doing it to yourselves because we're trying to give you a heads up and trying to help you figure ways around it. And you're just too busy being triggered and pissed to listen. So anyway, we're going to talk about that. But before I get into it any further, please like and subscribe. And if I didn't do this already, I don't remember. You'll get a woohoo. Woohoo. I can't remember what I said and didn't say, so I said that already. You get 2 woohoos for this video. I'm in a mood and I'm tired of doing these videos all by myself. So this triggered Neon earlier. He was like, he's bringing it up because people were like, oh, they're wrong. They're wrong. They don't know what they're talking about. Except we do know what we're talking about a lot of times. We aren't on here saying stuff unless it's something we know about or we understand we're part of. That's not what we do. We don't just grift onto whatever, glom onto whatever and go on about it. There's lots of things that have happened that we could have made videos on, but we didn't because it's not something that it's in our wheelhouse, okay? This one is in our wheelhouse. We've been doing this through both webcomics, comic books, and we've had things optioned for animation before. We've been doing this for a long time. We've been around. Oh, that's the other thing they're mad about. Because I said you can't swing a dead cat without hitting a storyboard artist. I stand by that. Everybody and their dog is a storyboard artist. And basically what's going on is the storyboard artists draw this stuff out and then they send it overseas to be animated. That has been going on for decades. All right? Not new. But I've seen people who are really shitty artists be storyboard artists, and everybody's like, I'm going to quit and go to LA to be a storyboard artist. And it's like, I'm sorry if you're a storyboard artist. You might be a good one. You might be one of the ones that are good. And you might still have a job. I'm talking about everybody and their brother wanting to be one, and they're all saying they're storyboard artists. And I'm sorry, in the industry, if you've been around this for a while, you go look, it's been a running joke with Neon and I. Are they a storyboard artist? Because it's been a consistent trend. It's been a provable trend over the years that these people who whine the most are usually storyboard artists. And we know this is a problem too. Like, for example, Princesses of Power. It was a joke because She-Ra's size was never consistent. And some of the character sizes were never consistent. And I think a lot of people mentioned this, it wasn't just me, pointed out that worked in the industry. They think what happened was the storyboard artists were drawing them and then sending it overseas, and the overseas animators just animated what the storyboard artists gave them. So they were all drawing them inconsistently, and then the animators just did what they were told to do. Plus, they're cranking out a lot of stuff, and they're in another country. This is what happens. I mean, I don't know for sure for that one, but I know for a fact, like back in the early, like late 90s, early 2000s, they had a lot of Disney shows. People working in the offices here, and they get storyboarded and they'd be sent to Korea or something. It's not new. And you can scream all you want about it, but it's been going on for years. And a lot of the people who are really triggered about this seem to be the younger millennials, the older Gen Zs. The ones that we're kind of talking about when we do these videos lately about how employers don't want to hire them because their demands are ridiculous and they think they should be given the moon and all this other crap. It's that mentality. So Neon had put this together. He talked about this on Twitter earlier. Saying that people shitting on us, saying Hollywood strikes would end with slashed budgets and fewer gigs. Yet here we are, Hollywood writers on strike. Now many can't find work, just like we said. More than half UK's filming and TV workers are unemployed after Hollywood strikes. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just telling you that was what was going to happen. You guys keep conflating us telling you what's going to happen with us, wishing you harm. And that's not what happened at all. We're just telling you, look, I think Neon kept saying all the time, if you get it, get it. But you're not going to probably get it in the way you think you are. And that's exactly what happened. It's just a trend. LA streaming gold rush is over. Film and TV workers have been left in the dust. We told you. But we were toxic, terrible people because how dare we? We're anti-union. No, we just told you how it was going to play out, and it did. All right? It's not hard. He put this up too. And now we have young animators ranting about us because we said that more animation production will be moved out of LA. It's already happening. Moved overseas. It's already happening. And be punted to AI again. Already happening. Let's revisit this in a year or two. It's nothing personal. It's just business. You look for trends. The trend in Hollywood is to do as much as you can as cheaply as possible because their free money is drying up. Yes. We're just sounding the warning bell. Okay? That's all we're doing. And it goes, the more each individual costs, the fewer people get used. I've literally seen owners sell off companies to avoid paying union workers. It's true, he has. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It just is. If you push, they pull. And the first chance they get to replace you, they will. And if you have an attitude of where the unions in California, and that's what I'm telling you, was one of the reasons we're having issues, there's a lot of demands. And I'm not saying that the demands are always wrong. There are a lot of things I completely agree with. I totally agree with some of the things that people are asking for, 100%. But if they can send it someplace else and do it cheaper and not have the demands and the constant, some of the stuff being narcissistic, they're going to do it. Is that right or wrong? I'm not saying. Usually it's wrong. But I'm just telling you, that's what's going to happen. I don't care. I'm sorry. I don't care. I don't care if your feelings are hurt. I don't care. I'm trying to fucking help you. You know what? I don't give a shit. It's the reality of the situation. Pull your head out of your ass and get with the program. At the end of the day, when it's all said and done, some of you will still have work. The ones that are easy to get along with, the ones that, are flexible, the ones that are good, you'll still have work. But a lot of you guys are going to be shaken out. And some people that have been there for years and years can pivot. But even now, people that have been there for years and years, like the Billy and Mandy creator, for example, cannot pivot in the way as fast as they'd like to, selling off their own personal things because it's all going IP. It's all going, to other countries to be outsourced because it's cheaper. It's just what it is. We're going to talk about, Genndy, how you say his name? I never can pronounce his name correctly. Tartakovsky. If I'm saying it wrong, I'm sorry. Genndy T, because I always say names wrong and I feel bad about it. He's even telling people it's SCAD, which doesn't even get me started on SCAD. Talk about waste of money. He's telling people it's SCAD, that this is going to happen, that the industry's shifting. Are you going to go cancel him? Because how dare he? How dare he tell you the truth? Like, people are telling you the truth like these guys and us because we're trying to help you. All right? Anyway, back to Neon's tweets. So he's talking about this, and the people in the industry have answered on here, as other people have talked to us behind the scenes. It's not completely untrue, and I'm tired of hearing how we're terrible people, and all the conspiracy theories about us are hilarious. Somehow Neon was a storyboard artist. No, he never was a storyboard artist. And this is like when we started complaining about Disney. Somehow I was a Disney seamstress. My mother is a professional seamstress, or was a professional, could be professional seamstress. She's done work for people, but never worked at Disney as a seamstress, even though that job sounds amazing. And if you have that job, I'm low-key jealous. Did not work there, did not do that. But these rumors that they run with are just so funny. I just can't even. So we're going to go out to this. So yeah, speaking of it, Samurai Jack and Primal creator, Genndy T, he was talking about the industry at SCAD. He was at the SCAD Animation Fest, and he got a SCAD Award of Excellence, and he gave a keynote speech to the people that are graduating. And I really feel bad if you're graduating from SCAD right now for animation, because you're probably done effed. I mean, you can do your own thing. Don't get me wrong. You can totally do your own thing, and there's ways to monetize that effectively. But if you're planning on going and work for a studio with your original idea, it's probably not going to happen. And I'm somebody who's pitched original ideas. And first of all, people don't understand this. A lot of them, it's invite. Like, you can't just go pitch. You have to have an agent, and you have to be invited. You can't just go pitch to places. They won't look at it because they don't want to be accused of theft. All right. You usually have to have an in some way. I've pitched to Disney. We have had an in with that. We had things optioned. They didn't go through with it, which I'm going to tell you right now, somebody who's done this before and who's been around the industry for both books, comics, animation, all this stuff. One thing that they'll do, and it's really shitty, but they'll do it, is if they have something similar coming out, or they want to do something similar, they will option it, whether it be, talking studios in general. They will option something to sit on it, to stall it out until their thing comes out, so you don't have a competing product. It happens. There's a lot of really underhanded shit that goes down, especially at companies like Disney. But people don't want to hear that. So anyway, Genndy T was out here, and he was talking to them about this keynote speech. Well, they interviewed him for Screen Rant. So they said, your panel at SCAD Animation Fest talked about your career throughout your time in the animation industry. What are some of the most significant changes that you've seen since you've been working in the industry? And has it changed for the better or for the worse? Here's what he said. Interesting question. When I entered the industry, it was kind of a golden time. Cartoon Network started. It was like a once-in-a-lifetime situation where everybody was young and we were able to do our own shows, which was really unheard of before, with all the support of the network. And the network was young and wanting to take risks and try new things. So it's hard to compete with. So I would say the industry has changed. To comment to this, one of the things people are accusing us of, well, you're old. When you were younger, you could do stuff. Yes, that's true. Yes and no. We were younger and we were like able to get in on things for some things like comics and that. It was true. But when we wanted to get a book done, we were too late to get to that, because then at that point, if you weren't some kind of checkbox, you weren't going to get picked up. True. Got told by the male agent that my female experience wasn't feminist enough. My lived experiences weren't women enough for the male agent. it was also like for comics and stuff, web comics and things, it was easier. There was less competition. It wasn't easier though. That's the thing that gets me mad. Less competition does not equate to easier, right? You still have to have talent. You still have to be good. You still had to know how to do websites, know how to market, know how to do all those things. It wasn't like handed to you because you were there. Contrary to what some of these people that weren't even like probably just born then think. It was not like that. And then, Webtoons came out and it made it a lot more competition, but it's dumbed down a lot for people too, because you could just stick it on there. You don't have to know how to do any of that stuff. Fast forward to YouTube. We came into YouTube at a time when there was a lot of competition. And it was already pretty big. I wanted to do it a few years prior, but Neon didn't want to. And by the time we did get to it, it's a lot of competition. And you stand out by your content, knowing how you do it. We do everything ourselves. I'll be honest here. The reason why we do as much as we do is because Neon knows how to do it. It's not even me so much. I might be the one who has, points that I make or rant, but Neon's the one who knows how to do this stuff. And he's been doing it for years, and he didn't just walk in. He had to work his ass off to get to a point where you know how to do stuff. It isn't just about sitting on your butt and having it handed to you. He even said it was a time when people were willing to take risks and you had to work your butt off, and they did it themselves, which is unheard of. The whole idea, there was a time people had grit and they got shit done. And some people still have it, but a lot of the younger people want to just go into a warm seat and sit there and lecture at everybody and dictate everything to everybody and demand the moon, but they have little to bring to the table. I'm sorry, it is what it is. Yeah, I said it. Put that in your thing you're pissed about with swinging a dead cat for storyboard artists, because it's true. Make a mental health video about it. Anyway. We're in a rough jam right now, from COVID to the strikes, to the decline of television's audience and how streaming is working, while streaming killed TV. They're trying to figure it out. They are. So we're in this transitional time, and it's so hard, and it's all about IP-driven shows now. Yes, it is. And the problem with that also has become they mismanage those IP-driven shows. You have shows with an audience. These shows were developed usually in the 80s, sometimes 70s, sometimes 90s, but usually 80s. By people who were actually boomers that you hate, and some Gen X people. And we had these shows, and you want the audience, you want the IP, you want to use it because it's safe. It's only safe because it had an audience. So the last thing you should do is completely destroy the IP for a new audience that doesn't give a shit. And that's what they all did. All right? You're so busy doing self-inserts that you fucked up the IP, but then Hollywood is too chicken shit to go with new stuff, even though new things like Steven Universe, we had regular show, all those things, Adventure Time, they were huge. They were good shows. Infinity Train, I can go on, the Owl House, all those things, they were good shows. They're very good. Samurai Jack, fantastic shows, good ideas. Dexter's Laboratory, Great Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Fantastic ideas, funny, well executed, appeal to kids and adults. Well done. We're not doing those now. And it is a shame, because people have some really good ideas. But I would also argue that maybe some of the up and coming people don't have as good of ideas as people that came before them, because they're too busy trying not to trigger anyone. They're talking about very few are getting made. It's definitely different than when Nickelodeon wanted to do originals, or Cartoon Network wanted to do originals, or Disney TV wanted to do originals. It's all about who could get the best original show. Then you have something like SpongeBob come out and it becomes a pop culture phenomenon. So it's quite different. You have Disney coming out saying they're only going to they're going to do one original film with Pixar for every 2 IP sequels. All right? And they're even saying for the new ones that they're looking for something that they can turn into IP. So all Hollywood cares about is what they can, speaking of SpongeBob, what jellyfish they can get so they can squeeze it to death is what they're trying to do. It says, it's hard for me to complain because I'm still making my own thing. The industry is still supportive. I'm still doing what I want to do. You know what I mean? But I know outside my little orbit, it's not great. They asked if animation, especially originally animated programs, have been disproportionately impacted by the streaming service model, with a lot of animated shows getting canceled only after one season. This does happen. So do you have advice for people who are trying to get these original animated shows off the ground regarding how they can protect themselves from the things like projects getting shelved for tax write-offs? You can't control that. The studios are going to do what the studios are going to do. We've told you this. If you sell, you have to make sure what your deal is. You need a lawyer. You need an agent. Because if you go to one of these places and you pick up an original IP and you sell them one, you have to make sure, because a lot of times they own it. And if they want to shelve it after one season, they can do that. And then sometimes you can get it back and sometimes you can't. And this is what we've been telling you, but we're just trying to hurt you. Here's what Genndy said. There's no advice. It's unpredictable. Exactly. You don't know where it's going to come from. Netflix starts a huge, enormous studio. They hire pretty much almost everybody. And then very quickly they decide, you know what? This doesn't work for us. We're going to go a different direction. And then they shutter it. And there's no advice I can give from that. You'd never see it coming. Exactly. If I was young right now, I would be making my own shows and putting them on YouTube, Instagram, or wherever, trying to get an audience that way. Oh my God, you mean like we said to do? This is coming from Genndy T. We told you this. Well, it's hard now. It was easy when it was you. It's harder now. Well, get off your ass and do the work. It's not going to tell you it's easy. Anything worth doing isn't easy. Nothing we've done has been easy, contrary to your moronic hot takes. We've had to work our ass off. Do you know how many hours we work a week? We don't get days off. We occasionally get maybe a holiday if we work ahead so we can bank some work ahead so we can. We work 7 days a week. We put in so many hours, it's ridiculous. And we're out here defending you animators about your crunch time when we ourselves are crunching it right and left. And we're defending you guys, and then you turn around and act like you've been acting. It's not easy. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you it was. Never said it was easy. But I told you it was probably the way you're going to have to go. And it's not just me. Now, Genndy T is telling you the exact same fucking thing. Maybe we're not as stupid as you dumbasses seem to think we are. But go ahead and do a video about your mental health. They're going to talk about different direction. He's like, he's talking about this. He said, you have Digital Circus, Amazing Digital Circus, which we mentioned on videos. Has Been Hotel. All these shows are great stories as far as somebody just doing independently. I think even the guys from Smiling Friends would just make a short films themselves independently, and then they came up with a show together. I think that's a healthier way to do your own thing right now. And maybe have a full-time job that you're doing too. Oh my God. You mean exactly like we said when I was talking about swinging a dead cat with the stupid storyboard artist thing in relation to the one person going to LA with no plan, no job. I'm going to be a storyboard artist. And I told them, you know what? Maybe you want to make sure you have a job before you do that. You're not just jumping into it blind, because there's a lot of people who are storyboard artists and there's a glut of them out there, and it probably won't work for you the way you think it was. And I was told I was mean and I was negative. And then hot damn, they went out there and it was exactly the way I fucking said it was. And they had no job and they had to work retail and they were miserable because they couldn't afford to live out there. And then they moved back home anyway a few years later. You mean like that? But do again tell me how I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Please do. Please do. And while you're at it, tell Genndy he doesn't know what he's talking about either. And these other people that have been around the industry for years, we're all trying to help you. And that's the way you behave. We're telling you what you need to do and what you need to watch out for and things you can do to help yourselves. And instead you're like, they don't know what they're talking about. They're just salty, mean old people. Well, you're just a stupid young dumbass. I don't know what else to tell you. I tried being nice. You guys don't want to be nice. So I'm just going to be blunt. Okay? I'm going to be blunt. They said, full-time job. And then after, do your own stuff. That's what I would be doing. I've been doing that throughout my whole career. Same. I can't tell you, when we were doing comics, we had a webcomic that got millions of views. All right, millions. And while we were doing that, Neon had a job. I had 2 small children. And I was doing work for him. We sometimes did jobs while he did coloring for Disney comics, but almost the entire time until he got laid off from no fault of our own, because that was like the 2008 drop off in the economy. We had jobs and we did the work. It sucks, but if you want to do it, you're going to find a way to do it. No one owes you a job. Do I think it's shit that they're sending everything overseas? Hell yeah, I think it's shit. But I also know, I've seen some of you people and what you post and what you demand and how you whine all the time you're owed something. I can kind of understand why they do it too. Because there's no pleasing you people. All right? There's just none. When I'm at a place where I'm unhappy on my own time, I develop my next thing. You have to be aggressive in that way and make your own destiny, I guess, without sounding too cheesy. Thank you. That's exactly what we've been telling you. But maybe, does Genndy not know anything about animation too? Or is it just us? Please tell me. I'd love to know. Whiny little brats. Yeah, I sound like an old person. I'm so mad about sounding like this. I am livid about this whole thing. And about you try to help, and this because they don't want to hear it. They're making hit piece videos about how we don't know what we're talking about. Meanwhile, people like industry veterans getting achievement awards are telling you the exact same thing we're telling you. You're not doing it to be mean to you. Change your fucking diaper, put on a pair of big boy, big girl underpants, and get with the program. We aren't the studios. I can't control what the fucking studios do. What I can tell you is they're going to do this whether it's nice or not, whether you want to hear it or not, whether it's negative and makes you feel bad for mental health reasons or not. It's the reality. Reality is not always what you want it to be. That being said, you can take that and you can do something with it and try to make it better for yourself and for others on your own, which is what we try to do, even though we just don't do it in as nice a way as you want to hear. I'm not going to baby you and give you, candy and tell you everything's going to be great when it's not. Instead, I'm going to sound the warning alarm and say, hey, look, here's what we're seeing. You're going to need to pivot because you're going to be fucked. And I'm sorry if you don't want to hear it, but it is the reality. So take that, stick it in your pipe and smoke it instead of making videos about, you don't understand, we're young and you don't work in animation now, so you don't know. No, I do know. Because it's the same thing across the board. It might be that industry might be specialized animation, but I'm seeing the exact same things. We told you this last year with the Writers Guild and the Screen Actors Guild. We told you. And there was, you're just being mean. You're just negative. You don't understand. No, we understand very well because we've been there. And we pulled out of it. But for every one of us that pulled out of it, hundreds didn't. So I don't know what to tell you. Cry harder, I guess. Meanwhile, Lionsgate signed a deal with an AI company that we talked about this before. They're going to eliminate storyboard artists and special effects crews, which we said that wasn't a good thing. I don't like AI, as you know. I mean, I can see it as a tool to help, but I don't think it should be used solely to replace animators or actors or voice actors or anything like that. I don't believe it should be used for that. Help? Yes. Replace everybody? Hell no. And they're talking how they're going to eliminate the storyboard artists and the special effects crews that just unionized. Is it right? No. But is it the reality? Yes. They're trying to replace you because they can replace the storyboard artist. They can make it more consistent and then send it overseas to be animated. I'm sorry. Your best chance is to start your own things. Find companies that will work with you, that might pay you less, but they're more willing to keep you. Or do something else. Get it, like he said, go get a regular job, a real job. Not to say real job, but a regular job outside of animation. A job outside animation, let's put it that way. A job outside animation, and then work that, and then do your animation stuff as you build up your stuff on the side. Because I don't want us to tell you. I try to tell you the truth. Neon tries to tell you the truth, and you're mad about it. And you make digs like, what was easy then? It's never been easy. It has never been easy. You had to know what you're doing, and you had to work your ass off. It's much harder to do your own thing than it is to go get a cushy job at a studio where you're paid to sit there and bitch about it. Way easier. Don't you dare tell me what's hard and what's not, and I don't know what I'm talking about. You haven't done it. You work 7 days a week, hours each day. The other day, I get to keep what I do. I get to make things I want to make. You just get to do what they tell you to and then hope they don't cancel your show and then bitch about it. Trying to help you. Anyway, do what you want to do. Just sit there and scream and whine about it and sink into oblivion. I don't fucking care. But the reality is the reality, and what's going to happen is going to happen. We're trying to warn you. You don't want to hear it. That's on you. I don't want to hear your whining. Anyway, like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.
Join the reef. Go to clownfish-.com. That's clownfish-.com. You will get exclusive access to podcasts and videos and comic strips and more, as well as merch discounts. Check it out. If you were a member, you could get this t-shirt, this dismal t-shirt, on our website, you'd get a 10% discount on that. You can also join in the community on clownfish-.com. Thank you so much for the support.